Hello, St. Thomas Academy, and welcome to the Cadet Football Show. I'm your host, Mike Maxwell, and to my left, as always, is head football coach Dan O'Brien. And today we've got a special guest with us. We've got Jackson Cercioglu, our linebacker, and one of the captains this year. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. So congratulations to both of you on a big win last Friday, 38-7 over Irondale. Coach, I bet you didn't expect such a lopsided victory.
No, we didn't. Coming in, we had talked about it last week. Like they were 2-2, but it lost to two top 10 teams in our 5A class. And our 5A class is tough this year. It's strong. It's wide open. So we knew coming in they were going to be tough. They did have an unfortunate situation. They lost their quarterback, their option quarterback, towards the end of the first quarter. Separated his shoulder. He was out for the game, and I think that kind of turned the tide a little bit in our favor.
Yeah. It could have been a little different game. I don't know if it would have been much different, but certainly he would have made a little difference for you too. Jackson, nice game on your side of the ball, and from my vantage point in the box, you were everywhere, and real nice game. You know, the defense has been pretty solid this year under your leadership as one of the captains. What do you think makes you guys so good?
I think it has a lot to do with the preparation we put in with the week with Coach Springer and Coach OB, and with the tackle circuits we do, team time, inside run, all of that. And another big thing is we're an older team. We've been together for a while now. We went through 4 years of the academy, and just the trust we have with each other and where we're going to be helps a lot out on the field.
Yeah, that's awesome. Coach, anything to add to that?
No, I think Jackson has hit it on the head. And the nice thing for these guys, they've been running the same defense since 9th grade. So that helps a little bit. And of course, Coach Springer does a fantastic job with those guys and getting them prepared. And they were flying around the ball. Jackson led them. He was our stat tackle leader for the week and has been all season long. And they kind of go as Jackson goes, our defense goes, and they kind of follow his lead.
Yeah, they were pretty lights out on Friday night. So offense again was real solid, just really grinding it out as usual. Passing game continues to progress. You had 11 for 17, 129 yards. Luke Dobbs, another great night, 5 catches, almost 70 yards. And of course, my favorite tight end, Jordan Wold, a couple of catches and a TD. Max really did a nice job setting that one up with the play action. Do you like the ratio of running to passing at this stage, or would you like to see a little bit more balance between the two?
Well, that's a great question. My goal when I got here was to be somewhere between 60% run, 40% pass, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 65% run, 35% pass. And our numbers get skewed because oftentimes we don't throw in the second half. If we're fortunate enough and we get a nice lead, but one leads to the other success. With those pieces. So when our passing game works well, it opens up our ground game for Love and Savion and our fullbacks as well. And when our ground game is going good, then people can't stack people are going to try to take a look at our passing game and try to stop that when that's rolling. So they complement each other. When one goes well, it helps the other.
Right. Well, I think the other night too, the defense made a big difference in the game, giving you great field position, some short fields. Those things, obviously, you're when you're at the 3-yard line to begin with, you're probably not doing a lot of passing. But I like to see the improvement on the passing game, and look forward to seeing that again this Friday. Let's talk briefly about and this is actually a question from one of our viewers, the on-field improvisation by Love Adebayo in it was the third or fourth quarter, where he's almost tackled, flips the ball back to Max Sims. I'm gathering you were a little surprised by that.
Well, yeah, surprised, and we did address it. We addressed it immediately on the sideline, and we addressed it after the game and the following day. Probably not great ball security, and probably not something that fits into the way we play football and those kind of things. But I don't know that you'll see that again.
Right.
I don't think that you will, and it was a dangerous play, and I think that they kind of got caught up in the moment, and there was two guys involved in it, and we'll probably stay away from that. We want to have ball security, and that's one of the things we talk about each week. And that probably was something that we won't do again.
All right, that sounds good. Can you repeat what you actually said to him? I know this is a family show, so I want to keep that in mind.
Well, I would say that it's probably better left unsaid, but I think they knew right away that, you know what, probably not the best decision for our team. And if it's a 7-on-7 match in their backyard or something like that, you know, it's probably a lot of fun to do, but not something that we're going to do against another opponent in Minnesota State High School League game.
Got it. All right, sounds good. Let's switch over to the players of the game. Let's start on offense.
Offense was Max Sims.
Okay.
You know, we've had a couple of weeks now where we've thrown the ball pretty well, and he's kind of been the leader there. Both he and Noah have done a nice job at quarterback, but this last game, he had a couple of runs where he tucked it and took off and got a couple of first downs. He's done a nice job with the leadership. So Max Sims is our offensive player of the game.
Okay, and then how about on defense?
Defense, young Jackson Cercioglu was our
Congratulations.
defensive player of the game. So again, excited for him. Sometimes we probably don't appreciate him as much as we should. He's been a starter for us for 3 years. He's been probably our leading tackler for 3 years. And we kind of take for granted how good he is and kind of expect things out of him. But this week was an opportunity for us to honor him. And as you said earlier, he was all over the field and had probably his best game of the season so far.
Yeah, again, your name was called quite a bit on the broadcast on Friday. So that, again, congratulations. How about special teams?
Special teams, we split it this week with Jake Borman and Anthony Bickford. Those two guys have done a fantastic job in the return game. You saw it again on Friday night. We had a whole bunch of short fields. And again, that's a tribute to those guys with their return game and those kind of things. So catching punts is hard. And it's critical. You know, one of the things we talk about is rolling yards. Every time a punt hits the ground, it seems to roll 10 or 15, 20, sometimes more than that yards. So those guys done a fantastic job. So those two will share that honor this week.
Yeah, and they had a couple of really difficult kicks, not only punts, but even I think one of the kickoffs kind of, I think he thought it was going to go out of bounds, and then it just kind of popped up into his hands. And so, yeah, great job for those guys. What about your grinder this week?
Our grinder again, we talk about each week, but it's the most important one we give out. We split it again this week. I don't split that one very often, but we split it this week with Jackson Cercioglu and Max Anderson on the offensive side of the ball. So Max is his first year starter at center for us, a junior. He's the quarterback of the offensive line. He's the guy that's making the line calls and getting us lined up and set up. And he's had a fantastic last couple of games, and we'll hope for continued improvement from him. And he's done a nice job. So he and Jackson will share our grinder this week.
Nice job again. And I'll add to that. Max, had a tough task. They had some big boys on that line, and he did a nice job all night.
He's fantastic.
Good for him. All right, so the win brings you to 5-0, and this week you'll undoubtedly face your toughest competition of the year when you travel to Mahtomedi to play the also undefeated Zephyrs. The last 2 years have been the coin of phrase instant classics, right? 4 overtimes in 2020, and last year literally a last second run into the end zone to win the game. Jackson, I'm going to pose the question to you. You've obviously, as a 3-year starter, you've played a big role in those 2 games. What do you expect to see when you hit the field Friday night?
I'd say it's obviously going to be a dogfight between both teams. Mahtomedi is really good this year. They're 5-0, of course. They have a really good running back. He's rushed for about 1,000 yards in 5 games. And obviously, going up to Mahtomedi, we're gonna be the villains, as Coach Springer says. So it's going to be, as Coach OB said, who can punch the longest, who can punch the hardest, and whoever does that will come out on top in the end.
All right, that sounds good. Coach, anything to add?
No, I agree with them. I think it's going to be a great high school venue and a great high school football experience. You know, if you like ground games in football, this is a great one to be at. They've got, as Jackson mentioned, a fantastic running back. We think we've got a couple of fantastic running backs. So it will be a great atmosphere. It's the Care 11 game of the week. It's got some publicity, and we need to come out and play well, and if we do, it'll be another barn burner. As he said, last year it was 1 on the last play of the game. The year before that, 4 overtimes. It's a fantastic rivalry for us, for sure.
Yeah, should be a fun night. Anybody on Mahtomedi that got you losing some sleep, or
Absolutely, a couple of them,
or maybe scheming a little differently this week.
Yeah, number one, the tailback. As he's averaging 12 yards a carry, he's got 1,100 yards, and averaging 200 yards a game, so he's fantastic. Their starting quarterback has been hurt, but we expect him to be back this week. He's a really good player. He started last year as a sophomore, so he'll pull some concerns for us with his feet and also with his arm. And they've got a couple of offensive and defensive linemen that are real good as well. So we've got a few people, but you expect that. They're 5-0. We're 5-0. They were runner-up in the state last year. Lost, as we've mentioned before, Mankato West in the championship game. So quality program. We have a ton of respect for them, and we're excited to go up there and have a chance to play.
All right, that sounds good. So with this being a big game, and I'll ask this to both of you, but do you take a little bit different of approach to practice this week, or is it business as usual?
Well, we're trying to make it business as usual. It's hard. I said to the kids, I said, hey, you guys, this is just the next game on the schedule, and they all smiled at me like, Coach, this is Mott week. So I'm not pulling the wool over their eyes, but from a coaching staff standpoint, we'll approach it the same. Our practices are the same. The kids will dial in hopefully a little bit more this week on their assignments and things like that. But we'll try not to change. We've had some success with the formulas that we have, and we'll keep going with there. But Jackson, he might have a different view of it. We'll see what his thoughts are.
Right, and obviously as a player you might approach it a little differently. But do you approach it differently? And as a captain, how do you get your team rallied around this?
I think the most important thing to realize this week, no matter what anybody says, it's game 6 of the season, that it is an important game no matter how you look at it. You don't want to go in there thinking that no matter what happens, that it's just kind of going to be a throwaway game either way. Right. So I think it's important to help the guys realize, to help bring the intensity a little bit more in practice this week, as Coach says, but to not change up everything. It's not a make or break, right. And the formula's been working so far. Just keep going, keep trusting the coaches, and we'll see how it goes on game day.
All right, that sounds good. I like that answer. So, guys, thanks for talking a little cadet football with me today. Go get them on Friday. All right.
Thanks.
So, your cadet football team will play the Mahtomedi Zephyrs on Friday evening. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. The game will be played at Mahtomedi's George Smith Field. Tickets can be purchased online, and we'll add the link below. I believe tickets will also be available at the gate as well. If you're unable to make it but want to watch it live, you can do so at cadetbroadcast.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, and go Cadets.